This is Wendy Halley, and you're listening to Lucid Cafe. Hey, thanks for joining me for another fun-filled, educational, and powerfully entertaining episode. No pressure. Guess what I learned? Podcasting, while being a small business owner, is a lot of work. You may have noticed that I'm now releasing a new episode every 3 weeks instead of every other week. Since I'm all about the wellness and don't want to be a hypocrite, I decided I needed to practice what I preach and adjust my schedule. So every 3 weeks feels more doable. As of today, I've got 7 episodes waiting to be edited and released. Good stuff is coming in 2020. Got an update on my virtual reality project, which is called Shamanic. That's shaman with an IQ at the end. I'm happy to say that I now have in my possession a 3-minute teaser trailer of a virtual wellness experience. All right, picture this. You're transported into the middle of a peaceful forest where a slight breeze is blowing and a few leaves tumble to the ground, while beautiful, tranquil music lulls you into deep relaxation. As the music swells, little spheres of light float through the trees, giving you a little taste of otherworldliness. It's pretty cool. And that's just a taste of the experience. So the next step is to share this taste of shamanic VR with potential investors and Vermont employers who might have an interest in offering their employees regular on-site kind of mini virtual vacations in magical natural landscapes designed to quickly calm their nervous systems down and manage their stress. It's so exciting. I want to express my thanks to Champlain College's Emergent Media Center for making the first step of this project possible, and to my very talented friend PJ, who wrote and performed the enchanting score for the trailer. All right, on with the show. Over the years, I kept hearing about this woman in Burlington, Vermont, doing amazing work. I think I first heard about my guest, Suzy Harris, over 10 years ago. But for some reason our paths never crossed until earlier this year. Well, you can throw my hat into the ring of admirers. Since recording our conversation, I was so impressed by Suzy and intrigued by her approach that I had to go and have the Dr. Suzy experience for myself. And it's easy to see why she has such a great reputation. She's really good at what she does. Dr. Suzy Harris is a natural health physician, applied kinesiology chiropractor, and owner of Cedarwood Natural Health Center in South Burlington, Vermont. Her practice has been a resource in the community for over 20 years, providing result-oriented, patient-centered health care. Please enjoy my conversation with Dr. Suzy Harris. I am sitting with the massively cool Suzy Harris.
I like how this is starting.
Yes. And I was really excited about the idea of having a conversation with you on the podcast.
Awesome.
So why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about what you do?
Okay. Well, I'm an applied kinesiology chiropractor, and so I do chiropractic in the usual way, but that does allow a little bit of training that lets you use muscle testing to kind of use the body's nervous system to get information from the body when you're doing chiropractic. So I do that, and what sprung from that was in applied kinesiology, you'll pay attention to how an organ is correlated to a muscle's function. So if I'm trying to get someone to hold a lower back adjustment and they're not holding it, you start looking at muscles that might be part of what helps them hold it. And if they're weak, you work the muscle and then they hold it, and that's great. And for some people, they wouldn't. So you would check the correlated organ. If it's a kidney, associated with a psoas, hip flexor. You give them some kidney support, the psoas gets stronger, and they start holding the adjustment.
You throwing out the anatomy terms.
Oh, is it too far?
Well, I know about the psoas only because when my husband was going through massage school, I would quiz him on the muscles.
Cool. Yes. So, short story, you would shore up an area by targeting the organ. And deeper training later down the road, I started realizing you could get information about why the organ needed that support. So now most of what I do, my long-winded answer, I use muscle testing to read a person's body and find where areas might be off, and use these homeopathic vials to see resonance matching. Why is it off? So let's say you have a strong arm and I touch over your liver acupuncture alarm point. If the liver's irritated by something and I stimulate it more by touching that, it'll make the arm go weak. And it's not a weak muscle. It's a change in nervous system function. You're strong, I irritate you, you have a fight or flight response, and the arm goes weak.
So for a visual for people who aren't familiar with kinesiology,
Yeah.
can you kind of describe what that process physically looks like so they can have an idea of like,
Sure.
What is she talking about? My arm is weak.
Right. So a person would be laying on a massage table with their arm up, kind of pointing toward the ceiling, and I put some pressure on the arm and you just hold and resist that push. That's a strong arm. And then if I touch over a point on your body, just kind of lightly touch an acupuncture point. If you stay strong, there's no problem there. If you go weak, it's a sign something's off. I'm stimulating an organ's point, and it's irritating your nervous system that I did that.
And so the nervous system is relaying this information through a weak arm.
That's right.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's too much info, but what's happening is the part of your nervous system that's for fight or flight response comes to the front to assess this stress. While that's happening, voluntary nervous system is slightly dampened. Not greatly, or we'd probably all fall on the sidewalk when we're stressed out. All my core muscles just dropped out.
That would suck, yes.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
So, you get to use muscle strength.
Although maybe we would take better care of ourselves if we
You'd certainly noticed
collapsed.
It was a bad day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that visual that I just had. Like a community of amoebas.
Yep. My bones, they're gone.
Stress, it's real.
Yeah, no shit.
That's a thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, so you do muscle testing, and then you also try to decipher what could be causing the weakness by using these vials.
that's right. It's called resonance testing. So let's say you had a strong arm. We contacted your liver point and you went weak. If I put these vials near your body that are metals, let's say, if something in your system, like a metal, let's say lead, has a certain frequency to it, and it's creating an irritation to your liver. If I bring the same frequency of lead near your body, when two like frequencies come together, they flatline each other. So the lead stress is gone for 10 seconds, really. And it'll change the weak test to strong because it alleviated an irritation for that small amount of time.
Okay.
Isn't
so
that nuts?
It's nuts. And
Totally nuts.
But it sounds like it's information for you.
Yes.
So let's say you discover this weakness and it has to do with lead. Then what?
Well, in homeopathic medicine, the poison, the lead, has a very similar wavelength of energy to the antidote, which could be chlorella or cilantro or bentonite clay. There's lots of ways to detox that kind of thing. So if you put the remedy on the person's body, it also emits a frequency. And the frequency of that remedy negates the lead. It will strengthen the arm. So you know that's the right remedy for that person.
Okay.
Super individualized because it's using your body to get down at the frequency level.
So it's energy medicine.
Definitely.
And homeopathy, you threw out that word. I mean, let's go real basic here. How would you
Yes.
define homeopathy?
Well, the basic science is working with the frequencies of things. So you can take, let's say, wheat and dissolve it in some water and dilute it and dilute it and just keep adding water and diluting it and diluting it. And you, what happens is you dilute it and you break it in half, and you dilute that half again and break it in half. And so as you keep diluting, you get down to the point where there's no measurable particulate matter left, but the energetic signature is still there. So you can use the energy of something like a poison, not hurt the person with it. If you are being guided by a homeopathist, please don't do this on your own. So when you put a frequency of lead in someone's body homeopathically, it will stimulate the body's attention to go, lead? Let's get rid of that. And your body knows how to detoxify itself. It might be a little more complicated with lead. You'd want to do some binding there.
Well, that was just an example you gave.
Yes.
And you also gave example of wheat.
Right, wheat.
There's probably many vials.
Many vials.
So why not just use the actual substance, like in a vial? Why break it down so much that you just have the frequency of it?
I would say I am not a trained homeopathy doc, so the amount that I use it is, I don't know that I could answer the depth of that question.
Okay.
But I know there's a belief system that working with frequencies is maybe a bit more geared so intricately to the person and what's happening in their body than maybe how a body would process an herb or how a body would process a vitamin or a food. But like I say, I'm not a super trained homeopathic doc.
Good disclaimer.
Yes.
So I guess what we're talking about is just the level of frequency then. Like discerning something at the energetic level is I don't know if it's easier or if it's more,
I think it's
direct.
It's an awesome addition.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it replaces other stuff in the way that I try to help people out. It's usually a piece of what's going on in how we're working with their health situation.
Gotcha. So yeah, now that I took you down the homeopathy rabbit hole.
We are all homeopathic signatures. We could dilute and dilute and dilute.
I'll have to think about that for a bit. So are those the only services you provide, or do you do other things at so you have a clinic, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In
South Burlington.
South Burlington. Okay.
Yep.
Clearly I haven't been there yet.
That's okay.
Yes.
You've been busy helping people. So yeah, Cedarwood Natural Health Center. That's my practice's name. We're in South Burlington above the Talbots building on Shelburne Road. So you can shop for some clothes and come on out.
And get an adjustment.
That's right. So, it's interesting. I feel like what I do is like this information hub. You can come in and kind of get some deeper level info about what's happening so that you can either maintain your wellness or maybe understand something you just can't quite get to change. You've done the labs, you've seen the chiropractor even, and you've done PT and something's just not right, but everything looks normal. What the heck is that? So you come in and you could get some screening that's atypical that would give us, I would say, hidden barriers are discovered to why what you're doing isn't working if you're stuck in something that won't shift. But also people who are just feeling great and they want to keep an eye on themselves because we live in kind of a stressful, wacky space. It's nice to be able to screen yourself on a level. This does not replace medical screening and seeing your primary care physician and all that,
Another great disclaimer.
Thank you. And it's true because I find a lot of those labs will detect things that are disease or along the path of the disease further than when you're picking it up energetically. Though we do pick up advanced stuff with the energy testing. But you can definitely pick up on, hey, chlorine is irritating your thyroid and you didn't know that and you're experiencing some symptoms from thyroid. Let's get you a Brita filter. You didn't realize you shouldn't be drinking unfiltered tap water like that. Or aluminum shows up in a 17-year-old person who's struggling with something that won't make sense, a gut thing or a skin thing or even emotional stuff. And we realized aluminum toxicity coming from their antiperspirant. And
So it sounds like you're doing detective work.
it's like CSI without the blood. I love it. It's so fun. It really is. And the coolest part is watching people go, oh my God, shut up. That's all I have to do? Some of it's not that easy because it's like, that might be too much sugar or too much dairy or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I see people learn about how their body works and how the things they do affect themselves. And I'm not attached really to people being healthy. I am super passionate about people getting information they need to make informed decisions.
Okay, so how did you come to that? You're not attached to people being healthy.
You know, I just feel like if you are in the flow and you feel good about where things are for yourself.
So even if that's a shitty place, like physically a shitty place?
I guess. I mean, that's between that person and their family dynamics and all that.
I
But
think most people, though, when they feel unwell, they are not satisfied until they deal with the issue, or it becomes sort of an ID badge for them. So they maybe have more of a victim stance of they are a victim of this disease or disorder or whatever.
yeah. Yeah, from that perspective, I totally agree. I would say meeting people where they are, how do I want to say this? It's not like I don't love people to be healthy because I feel like I'm out to be a part of changing the world. And if people are healthy and feel good, they're more interested in what's going on around themselves.
So are you saying that it's more of a personal choice, that your agenda, you don't want that to interfere with your clients or your patients, however you describe them?
Yeah, and I think having a conversation about the emotional balance of it, like let's say someone comes in and they have chronic gut stuff and it's leading into like fatigue and brain fog and things like that. And they learn that they're eating too much processed food and sugar, maybe whatever. And we pick up, oh, there's lead in their makeup and there's this and that. And we take this process of kind of clearing stuff out, and they're doing it. And layer by layer, they're feeling better and they're needing fewer herbs to move their case along. And then they reach a point where they start to get too focused on it, like
Obsessed?
strong word, but maybe. Like
That's the shrink in me. Sorry about that.
Here's a great example, right? Like, oh, I've been bad this week. Oh my God, we did this, we did that. I'm like, it's really not bad. You know by now how your body works and what affects it.
So getting super judgy.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm trying to say. And made your choice to do what you wanted to do. Big deal. Get back on track. There is no such thing as being, oh, I cheated or I'm bad. I think it's like, yeah, you made some choices. You didn't care about the outcome. But you don't want to live in that outcome. So generally you get back on track, because once you've felt how good it is to be on track, you don't like to hang out in that blech for too long. That is a medical term.
Oh, yeah, that's... I'll have to ask you how to spell that later.
Yeah.
So how did you come to this? Have you always had this sort of thought that I'm not attached to health? The outcome of good health.
I would say it's definitely in my sidecar that I care about people being healthy. But my most primary passion, I think, is, God, this sounds super preachy. I feel like it's a matter of justice, that people get some truth about what's affecting their health, and they can then be in power about dealing with it. So I feel like I'm more on a mission of calling the naked emperor out. What's up with so much cancer? What's up with all this autoimmune? What's going on with 54% of our kids have chronic illness?
So the bigger picture.
Yes.
The bigger trends that are happening that you're seeing.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that we're all seeing, actually.
Yeah. And I absolutely care about the outcomes of health, but I feel like my passion is being a part of breaking down whatever this fog is about what's behind the lack of vitality, and quite astonishing numbers of not okayness in our kids, like food quality, water quality, stress management. All that stuff is like, when you go to the doctor, I want your doctor to talk to you about that. But mostly, if you go to medical world, primarily, I feel like it's appropriate. They're measuring for disease and trying to figure out, are you okay? Like, what would I do if I saw things that weren't okay? We'd have to respond to that medically and fix that. Super honorable work. But I think the functional stuff, like to poo-poo that someone could be feeling ill for drinking tap water and eating too much sugar, and maybe picked up a parasite that's not in the blood lab, but they were swimming in some funky place and
they picked up something.
Yeah, but they're not sick. It doesn't show up in a blood lab and that sort of thing. So I hope to keep seeing, and I do see it happening slowly, the collaborative nature between health practitioners and the education factor in healthcare to the person seeking the care.
Okay, so is your dream or your vision around educating allopathic practitioners to the kind of work you're doing? And other alternative?
Yeah, I would say all right, I always have to give examples. So someone comes to the doc and they're like, wow, I've got this skin thing. I have these crazy headaches, and they run a bunch of labs and they can't find anything. Well, that's kind of concerning. Maybe we should order an MRI or something. Okay, that's clear. Well, maybe just, make sure you're getting enough water. I would say, we're not sure, but these symptoms you report seem not in the norm of vitality. Why don't you check out one of these other types of practitioners who look from a different angle? Maybe it's an acupuncturist, or maybe it's a,
chiropractor who does applied kinesiology.
Yes. Yeah. The muscle testing stuff. There's lots of ways to measure. Am I not supposed to name drop here? We've got some cool people in our community.
Oh, yeah, you can name drop.
Yeah, like Dr. Travis Elliott. He does amazing work, and he's operating on an energetic level. Grace Johnstone and her hyperbaric chamber stuff.
I know Grace, yeah.
She's such a good woman. Donna Lee Paul, she owns Be Intentionally Well. She and I team up. I'll have people using our hyperbaric chambers, and then they'll go see her for an ionic foot bath with this cold laser stuff she does, and it helps reduce the herxing with Lyme patients. Cool stuff. Like, a medical doctor should be like, that sounds amazing. I would like to have your pamphlet in here. So when someone comes through and needs help, you have some resources.
I'm just trying to imagine they would have to really have a pretty good understanding of what these other things are to be able to even say, here, take this brochure.
Yes.
Instead of giving them 7 different brochures and saying, figure it out, to be able to say, oh, because of what you're presenting with, you should go see Suzy Harris.
Maybe so. Or just even have the information in your waiting room. Let people see it and go, what? That sounds like me.
Well, yeah. And then there's the whole, because what we do is considered alternative, that it's therefore not mainstream. There's a lack of understanding of what we do. I mean, people understand chiropractic. I think acupuncture is becoming more mainstream, which is a cool thing.
Yep.
But if you start talking about this other stuff like homeopathy, which a lot of allopathic practitioners would probably be like, huh? No. That sounds like crazy talk.
That was proved wrong a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if I always thought this would be cool if we had like some forum for the health practitioners in a community to get together, wine and cheese it up. I'm sure I can't picture it totally because,
you haven't gotten farther than the wine and cheese.
Yeah, and then I eat all that and drink the wine myself and be like, oof, I'm going to go to bed. That's a lot of cheese.
It is a lot of cheese and a lot of wine, and then no conversation is had.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm my own best friend.
It sounds sad and kind of great also at the same time.
Cheese stands alone. Yep.
I'll be cursing you if that's in my head at 3
Okay.
a.m.
Song implant.
tonight.
I'll make sure my cell phone's off.
Yeah. Yeah, so you had this idea of having people talk to one another?
Well, okay, here's an idea that I had that was
Okay.
more for the community, but I thought it would also secondarily bring practitioners together. It's a sneaky way of getting us together.
Okay.
So picture a quarterly, some sort of forum. This is going to be on diabetes and obesity or something like that. And the community has a chance to send in questions. And there's also a segment of time where questions from the audience can happen. And you have a panel of practitioners up on the stage. You've got an MD,
Ooh.
you have a PT, you've got a chiropractor, you've got a tuning fork sound healing person, acupuncture, and there might be 10-ish.
And everybody gets a chance to kind of chime in from their perspective, maybe?
I think there'd have to be a really talented MC.
Yep.
I have some in mind. You're doing a great job so far. So, who would be like, all right, we have some questions from the audience. There might be some sort of draw from the thing to see who's going to be the first practitioner to speak to a question. So there's no like someone who keeps grabbing the floor. And
Wow, that's a great idea.
do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
And then the community gets to see, first of all, if they're up on stage, they're probably going to be respectful, even if it's faking. So
That's a good hope.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, so
Yeah.
the community gets to see, which is what they want. We hear that, right? They want to have a collaborative, integrated experience where they're not getting eye rolls from their MD or from their natural practitioner who's going, oh, you're using medical things. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not cool. So, yeah, so some kind of forum where could you explain Scott Moylan, who's an amazing acupuncturist in Essex, elements of healing. How would you approach assessing someone who's displaying the symptoms of diabetes, and what would your plan of action look like as a potential? We know it could be different.
Wow, I think that's a really cool fucking idea.
Because in the end, you do that enough, the practitioners are bumping into each other. Now you have some contact list that's not their front desk, and you can be like, hey, we're going to do a dinner at wherever. And
It's like education all around. It's
Yeah.
education for the practitioners of each other and for any community members who
yeah.
attend.
And what would bring us together for the wine and cheese would be something that was for us to take care of ourselves. Like
More wine and cheese?
more wine and cheese. I would say there should be a bouncy house.
Water balloon fights? I was thinking about that for a future event.
That'd be awesome and terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Then
Oh my
the
God.
true assholes will
Yeah, that'd be bad.
rise to the surface.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Sir.
Good to
no
know,
more
I
balloons
guess.
for you. Or ma'am. But yeah, I think, maybe it would be something like, I don't know. I can't imagine the subject that would bring us together, actually. I'm sure we'd find some cool stuff. But I've thought of that, and then I've seen it kind of tried. Have I? No, it's never really. I think I have to create it.
Is this something that just is a thought in your mind, like, oh, that would be cool? Or is this something you really actually want to try to do?
I kind of really want to do it because out of commitment to friends and family and people that we live around, our community, like, it would be good to like decrease the confusion, and it would be good to dissolve the either or mentality. Both and. You can do both.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think bringing it out into the light, I would be surprised how much I would do it and there'd be like 2 people in the audience. Nobody likes this.
That's the spirit. Well, I mean, it could be one of those things that starts out slowly and then builds over time as people start seeing value
Yes.
or hearing about it. I mean, that's how Vermont rolls anyway. It's all word of mouth. So
Maybe we could put it in the structure of The Voice.
okay, I'm trying to picture it. So who's in the chairs?
I'm thinking it would be the practitioners who think they can speak to it, and it would be like they turn their chair around
That would be
first.
the panel.
Yeah.
plus Blake Shelton.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, because I really don't like country music, so
Okay.
there's that.
Yes. Oh,
So this is going well, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are really finding it useful.
So let me ask you, how long have you been in practice?
20 years.
All right. What have you learned about healing over your time? Has it changed, evolved your perspective on healing?
Absolutely. I would say when I first came out, super excited as a chiropractor, I had the tell me what's wrong. I'm going to assess it like a mechanical thing and we're going to fix it, which does work a lot. If you've got musculoskeletal imbalances that can be aligned, it fixes a lot of stuff. But then I started realizing the component of diet and,
It's complicated.
lifestyle. I'm like, actually, we can't just adjust people and do muscle work. We're going to have to talk about food and we're going to have to talk about stress and lifestyle. And then I think that kind of took on a dynamic of, well, let's figure out what's going on. Let's make sure we're clearing toxins. Let's kind of look at food journals and get the food shored up, nutrients in, toxins out, inflammation down. This is beautiful. We're doing this with food and all that. And that's been primarily like my thing. And I'd say in the last 2 to 3 years, I'm realizing the level of awareness of your, gosh, how do you put this in words? It's more the management of your soul.
Really?
Like if you have a practice that lets you stay in your seat and you can incur stress and be able to put it in perspectives that allow you to stay calm and in your seat is what I call it.
Are you talking about resilience in a way? Like,
Sure.
but on a spiritual level, like to have some kind of foundation there that you come back to?
Could be a version of a way to do it, is have a sense of spirituality and a practice
So
that
you use the word soul, that's where my head goes.
That's probably not the best word for it, is it? Well, here's another example.
Okay.
I love Joe Dispenza's stuff.
Okay.
And he's a chiropractor who gets into the metaphysics wackiness. His point is your brain takes in an event and brings it down into the emotional part of your body's awareness. You have an emotional response to what you just perceived, and that sets off a chemical cascade of inflammation, poor digestion, all kinds of health disruptive chemical cascade in your body responding to the emotion that came to something you perceived. So, you can see an elder woman walking down the street with a bag looking like she's really struggling and be like, oh my God, poor honey, where are her people? Or you could be like, you don't know. She's like, damn straight, just came from the store and I got my stuff. And I'm so happy to be outside today and I'm walking home and look at me, what I'm doing. So to have a practice that allows you to be aware of your energy body and to be able to work with it, this is like your stuff. Opening up those energy fields so that you're resonating your truest self, which I would say is your soul, but I don't know what I'm talking about. When that's happening, your vibration and that sort of stuff, I think your vitality makes you need to be less micromanaging about your food and your this and your and you're not so attentive to, oh, my ankle. You know what I mean?
I wonder if, I can try to put it through the filter of shamanism and my perspective, I guess, to see if I'm understanding you correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So the foundation of my shamanic practice is in Hawaiian shamanism, or Polynesian. And one of the really cool aspects of Hawaiian shamanism is that they would suggest that we don't have one soul, but we have three. And my take on that is that each one of those souls is actually a component of our consciousness. So we have our, it's like I just opened a big door here. There's your higher self, your oversoul. That's who you really are. And that part of you is not human.
Yeah.
And then there's your body soul. That's the part of you that's unconscious, that runs your body, repairs, restores, keeps your heart beating, your lungs breathing. It's the storehouse of your memories. It's where emotions come from. It's the part of you that learns and creates habits. So that's the part of you that develops when you are conceived, is your body soul. And then when you're born, you take your first breath. The idea is that a piece of your oversoul or your higher self separates from itself in the dream time and travels down into the physical and plants itself into your heart when you take your first breath.
Wow.
It's called the ha. And then...
That's so beautiful.
Isn't that cool?
I love that.
And then it stays with you until you take your final breath, and then it separates and reunites with itself in the dream time.
Wow.
And the third soul, the Hawaiians would say, you grow each lifetime. So there's the concept of reincarnation, that you live more than one lifetime. And so the third soul is considered your mental soul. And that's basically your conscious mind, where your oversoul is your higher consciousness, and your body soul is your lower consciousness or your unconscious self, and then your mental soul is your conscious mind. It's who you think you are. It's your sense of self. It's your identity. It's the part of you that thinks. It's your intellect. It's the part of you that uses imagination.
That makes so much sense. What a great breakdown.
Isn't it cool?
I like that.
And so the goal is to have all three aspects of the self aware of each other and working together as a team. That would encompass all aspects of being, right? Most of us think that our mental souls are kind of the shit, that's kind of what's in charge.
This is who I am.
Yes, exactly. So your mental soul is your ego, basically, right? I'm not one to say that you need to get rid of your ego. Like some of the traditions in Buddhism would suggest that it's all an illusion. I'm not one of those folks. I think it's
a piece.
It's
I like that.
You're here.
Makes more sense.
So that what really is in charge is your unconscious, your body soul. And most of us don't have a relationship with our higher self. And so once you open that door, and that's something that you can do through meditation or through shamanic journeying or whatever, and make a connection with your higher self, because that part of you communicates to you through symbolism. So through your nighttime dreams, through those aha moments, through intuition. It's kind of like your teacher, your spirit teacher. So we all have these moments where we have great intuitions, right?
Yep.
Like just shit makes sense, but it comes from where? Who knows? It could be your oversoul.
Yeah.
Most likely your oversoul.
Yeah.
But to be able to forge that connection and have it all the time, so that all three aspects, all three souls, all three aspects of consciousness are working together as a team, and there's an awareness of each aspect, then it's kind of like you walk through life with a little bit more balance.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're talking about?
I love the way you just rolled that out. It's exactly what I'm talking about. I think the piece that I would see what I was saying fitting in, what's the tool, or what are the tools that you use to hook up so that you can have your connection to the oversoul. Because when you're in that sort of alignment, you have a much different view of things. You're less easy to tip over because you just see it, It's kind of like that persona people take on when there's a huge storm and electricity's out and they're just different with one another. It's like nothing matters, right? Oh my gosh, are you okay? Good, okay. Hey, we have got chili over here. It's like that's the alignment right there in my heart, is like just sort of like that.
But it's talking about connection and what's important, I guess, rather than getting caught up in the distractions and the things that don't really matter.
Like being able to see the bigger picture.
And that's definitely an oversoul perspective.
Yeah.
And I certainly, since I've stepped onto this crazy shamanic path, or I should say the path stepped on me, and being able to meet my oversoul and be able to develop a relationship with it, it's given me a perspective And who's to say whether it's accurate or not? I
Who
mean,
cares? You're living it out.
yeah, it's one of those things that I can't help but think that I've been transformed as a result of that. I'm not the same person because I have this perspective that helps me kind of put everything else in perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that I would say is the phase of my practice that I'm in. I'm still doing the chiropractic in its most basic sense. I'm still doing the nutritional wellness programs with people using that muscle testing that we talked about. And I would say I'm talking more now, and I'm referring people to you. I'm referring people to Reiki practitioners or to classes for learning tools to be aware of your energy body. Do you have practices that let you enhance that connection to the truest energy that's you? Because I think that's that alignment where then you can just kind of relax and live your life in 80-20, 80% mostly eating clean and stuff, but 20% goofing around. You're not cheating, you decided to have a beer. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think that's a good way to roll.
yes, like there's got to
So
be
it doesn't
some,
feel like punishment.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's been kind of interesting, and I've had some people who have helped as a wellness practitioner over the years, and I know them in a way I can talk like this. Maybe someone who's newer, you want to know where people are with the level of conversation, I guess, right?
Right.
But the folks that have been around forever, when we have these conversations, I've actually noticed measurable change in them when they come back. When they left and they spent time thinking about or engaging in something, getting some body work or reading a book or catching some videos on a whatever subject is bringing them down the rabbit hole into the cool, multidimensional, you are not just this meat sack.
So kind of planting some seeds of inquiry.
Yeah.
So that they start investigating for themselves.
Yep.
And not all of them may work.
Yeah.
For them, but it's a matter of discovery, right?
Check it out, yeah.
Finding out what works for you.
And it's always in the form of a question, like, do you think some of what's got you stuck in this pattern with your health could be coming from, it's always stress, right? And people know, they're like, I know I would be getting better results with, all these cool shifts I've made if I weren't so stressed out. Everybody's stressed. It's a lot of over hours and blah, blah, blah.
Now, that's the nature of our culture, unfortunately.
Yes. But I don't know how you see this, but I feel like I see a shift in, it's subtle, but I'm seeing some more people coming in and being like, you know what? This job is killing me. It doesn't make sense to leave it. I'm leaving.
I have been seeing more of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
People are something's going on that has people going, you know what? For the love of God, it's
is it really worth it? Yeah, yes. Exactly.
And then the beauty when you're in that alignment place that you're talking about, and when you're in the flow and how easy it is to manifest things. When you finally drop the mic on something, it seems like unexpectedly all these cool things start showing up that you weren't really aware of could have come your way. They might not seem cool at first sometimes.
Yeah, those synchronicities. Or what you're saying, I guess, are you saying that it could take the form of even a crisis?
I suppose. I think when someone finally lets go of something that was pulling them so far away from being themselves or in connection with their oversoul, sometimes it means, wow, I can't afford this house. Crap. I am going to have to move. Shit. But then they get into this house eventually, and it might be a year's time or whatever it takes, or it could be 2 months. And they're like, oh, actually,
this is okay.
There's some cool stuff about this.
Yeah, so I guess these ideas that we have about what we need and what we want, and finding that we may not want them or need them, that simpler can work.
Yeah.
So what's really important to us? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
I think it is getting down to
what matters.
What matters. Yeah. And it's not not everyone, we don't all take a perfect leap from where we are to where that perfect picture would be. I don't know anyone who does, actually, now that I said
that. No. Yeah, exactly. No, we're all just kind of fumbling through life, trying to figure shit out. I mean, the beliefs we have seem to dictate how we're experiencing ourselves and our reality.
So real. I mean, placebo, right?
Yep. Well, and just if you think about all the fucked up beliefs we've created that we may not, most likely are not aware of,
Yeah.
about who we are,
Mm-hmm.
about how the world works,
Yeah.
about money, about family, about everything, relationships. They're just beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You could say they're based on experiences that you've had, but I mean, you have two people have the same exact experience and they could come away with completely different beliefs about that experience. Getting back to that example of
Mm-hmm.
the woman you said walking down the street, you might have a perception seeing her that she's struggling,
Mm-hmm.
but if you actually talk to her, it could be a really good day for her.
She's like, please do not take my bags. I'm enjoying this.
So these beliefs are like filters
Yeah.
that are, yeah, that, to me, that's where the work is. A lot of the really good work is around looking at your beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think it gives such a boost to your health. Like, you know how you feel when you get off a massage table or have
Or
the
out of the energy
e-genesis.
genesis.
Oh my God. You know, your vibration. I don't know if that's just too flaky for people for me to talk
Well,
about
you
the
can talk about
vibration.
harmony, just
Yeah.
feeling like you're in harmony.
Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I love thinking about this. Every cell in your body has its own, I would say, cell type. So your adrenal gland cells, they're adrenal gland cells because they have certain characteristics that make, you know, what's inside the cell and what the cell does.
Makes sense, yeah.
Particular type of cell. It's made up of a particular group of molecules that make it that thing. That group of molecules emanates a very specific frequency of energy that's different than the frequency coming off the kidney tissue cells. So to think that you can research the vibration of a healthy kidney and know what the vibration of a healthy kidney is and expose your body to it and let it get your kidney cells to try to match it. And once it's matched, you've got a healthier performing kidney cells. Ones that are too far gone won't manage to hang out in that vibration and they'll die off so new ones can come in, which is appropriate cell behavior. Did I just describe what the energy genesis does?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I love that. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's the
Tuning
idea
forks can
of,
do that.
resonance,
Singing bowls, drumming.
using sound and light.
Yeah.
In this case, yeah.
And sunlight, for the love of God. Please get in the sun. I know that's contraindicated, you know, skin cancer and all that stuff, which is a real concern. I don't know. I think there's a conversation to be had there.
What did I hear recently? That there are studies that show that actually sunscreens cause skin cancer.
Well, there's chemicals in there, and you drive that into your skin within the sun. That can't be great.
Can't win.
Get in your rabbit hole quickly.
So you just enjoy your life. You find ways to enjoy your life.
I mean, you know about the book The Blue Zone, I think.
No.
No, there's zones on the earth apparently where people live to be like 120, 140, and they're vital.
Oh, yeah. Like
so
Okinawa or, yeah.
I think there's like 6 maybe, and they've got a book where they went and interviewed the folks in the different zones, and that's pretty much, I think, what they're doing, because no one's doing the exact same thing.
They're enjoying themselves?
Some people are having a glass of wine and blah, 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 and other people are being super meditative and don't eat that kind of stuff. And
Well, if you think about it, isn't that our birthright?
yes.
Is to enjoy yourself.
I think it's good for things.
Enjoy
when we
ourselves, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, sure, we live on a planet that's rife with suffering, and nobody's immune to it. Everyone is going to experience suffering, some more than others. But how do you access enjoyment in the face of suffering?
Yeah. That's a hard one. I think, you know, putting your attention on the enjoying energies. So if you're frequency matching enjoyment, your body's going to feel enjoyment. But then
if you feel like shit,
you're going to feel it. I think it's not having a resistance to feeling like shit sometimes. Because resisting that makes you fear it, and then you can't stop focusing on how to avoid it, and now it's all you can think about.
right?
It's like, I think a lot of suffering comes from freaking out about avoiding suffering.
So if you go with it and just accept
Yeah.
that you are in the midst of suffering at that time, you're saying that that will make it, you'll flow with it more?
I think so.
Move through it quicker?
I don't know that I'm an expert on it, but it seems true to me.
Yeah, I certainly didn't mean to suggest that you can enjoy suffering.
Right.
But it's more, I think, to try to access enjoyment. Yeah, we all have a lot attached to suffering. And
yeah, it's a tough spot.
yeah,
If you
I mean,
think...
because there's a lot of trauma that we experience. But like I think about my years as a psychotherapist and the traumas that people have presented with. I mean, I've heard absolutely horrific stories.
I hear you.
The whole spectrum of traumatic experiences that people have had. And some come out of it and are able to enjoy their lives, and they aren't battered by these traumas. Whereas other people are battered by them. And that's intriguing to me. I don't know if I have an answer for that. But
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the corner on it either, but I have this idea of back to your oversoul connection that you talked about. If there's an oversoul connection, which is something that has to be tended, you don't just get there and go, ta-da, and now it stays. Like,
right. It's a relationship.
It's a thing, yeah. So to hold that connection, I think, gives us a higher perspective in the face of suffering. Doesn't condone it, doesn't take away the grief or the pain. It's like, again, stupid little example here. Let's say you sprained your ankle terribly and you were like, oh my God, ouch. All right. Ugh, where's my phone? Versus, oh my God, my ankle. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like your blood pressure is going to go up. Your blood sugar is going to go up. You're going to pass out. You might, fall into traffic. It's like, you just sprained your ankle, man.
All right.
That sucks. But let's have you sit down.
First of all, I think you deserve an Oscar for that.
Did you like that?
That was brilliant.
Didn't really happen to me, but I pictured it.
Yeah,
real.
you were so there, and I'm sure the listeners are like, holy shit, she really hurt herself. It was so...
You could help me up, for the love of
so
God.
on. Yeah, I know, I'm just watching you.
Ow, ow.
Yeah, so this perspective, it's...
That you're going to be all right. That things are all right.
Yes.
It is happening in the way it's happening, and it's all right.
And that's likely what the people who seem to weather trauma in a way that doesn't disable them. They must have this, well, I guess resilience is the word that comes to mind, and they're able to access a bigger perspective and put things into perspective. Like, okay, I am, getting back to what you're saying, I am all right. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. I would wonder, though, also, the person who doesn't have that capacity, they're having a different experience. And I wonder, is it because their time is meant to have an experience like that because it's going to be a part of their process of going where they're going? Like, it's not better to have the resilience necessarily on a spiritual level to the person who isn't as resilient, which takes them down a different pathway, and they start having an experience that has them grow and stretch because they did suffer more than someone else would have in that situation. That's a weird statement.
Yeah, I'm like, was I able to follow that? That's...
I'm glad you're editing this.
Yeah. But I mean, I think about what my experience has taught me about when I connect with my oversoul and I kind of ask these bigger picture questions of like, all right, so what are we doing here? And there's we're coming here to experience, right? That's at least my take on it. We're coming here having an experience on a very difficult planet. This is a tough place to be, for the purpose of growth, evolution of that part of ourselves, the oversoul. And so in that place, in the dream time where the oversoul resides or hangs out, or however you want to put it, because it's not really a place, it's I don't know, it's when you start talking about this shit, it gets really out there. But that part of you, it's already, because there's no time there, it already knows what's going to be happening and what isn't going to be happening, is my understanding.
The wrinkle in time.
It just, yeah, it has a picture, a perspective about there is no time there. So,
I love that quantum physics stuff.
well, this is even beyond that, I think.
How would you refer to it?
Well, because it's not even the, I mean, I wouldn't even put it into the quantum realm, this place, because to me that's the energetic realm, and this is a different place.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Even cooler.
because I see, and this is just me, I see consciousness and energy is separate. That the energetic realm is different from the dream time, which is to me is all consciousness. And that's they work in concert very closely, but
Separate.
yeah, I mean, those frequencies and patterns at the energetic level, they don't, I mean,
Not there.
yeah, it's, you can see them on the way there. Like this, people talk about a grid. They might see a grid. They see colors, that kind of thing. But no, it's not. It's different there. Anyway,
I
at
love
least
that.
that's my take. But I got way off base there. That the whole idea is that there's a sort of, because there's no time, then you could be living simultaneous lifetimes. That your oversoul could be living simultaneous lifetimes, and each lifetime is experiencing different stuff, and it's informing all of the things that, so your Susiness and my Wendiness are those things, these experiences are informing our oversoul and contributing to its evolution. And so every time we bump up against, as a human being, we bump up against another person, a situation, how are we going to be in response to that person, that situation? To me, that's more of what it's about than what you do,
Who you're being.
who you're being. So how are you going to be in response to a tragic event?
I think that perspective shift is what gets people to do what feels, well, I'm being generalist here, but when we're so hairpin focused on time and our body and make the rent and time for dinner and got to stay home from work, kid is sick, all that stuff, we start to believe that this is what's on, this is who we are, this is what there is. And I think to have that connection beyond it, like you're describing, that you are an energetic being with an oversoul, there's a way to put the logistics of the day down and return to your truer self. And with a practice, I think, that lets you keep that chaotic day in perspective and not let it mean so much stress response.
And I think we're all craving that kind of connection. Whether it's real or imagined, I mean, we still don't know for sure. I mean, everything I just said could be complete bullshit. Totally understand that. So getting back to just living on planet Earth, I mean, here we are.
Let's get back.
We went, yeah.
We went way out there.
We did, man.
I like
how'd that happen?
It's all right. Feeding off the visualization. Gonna have to text that right out of there. No, I like that stuff though. I mean, I feel like in a simplifying way, it's in that subject of having a way to be well on more than just the physical, however someone would package that or approach it.
Yeah, I think it can probably feel very empowering.
Like someone will come back from a Kripalu retreat or something, and I can't find any weak reflexes on their body.
Oh, really?
And they reject most of the supplements they were taking, which is exactly what we're trying to have. And then in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, some of it comes back. The adrenals are down, the thyroid's off, the liver might be off. And we don't need to micromanage everybody.
So what do you think is happening when they go to Kripalu?
They unplug from all of it and they engage in something that, like yoga or meditation or just sitting or free
Brings their
associate.
focus inward.
Yeah. They come out of the freakazoid zone and let that chemical body response to that constant stimulus chill out. get back to ground level and recollect yourself. You know, people are like, oh my God, whatever they did, whatever they were attracted to at that retreat.
Okay, so it's just a huge decrease in stress.
I think so. It's a put it down and remember who you are. Oh my God, you're freaking out.
It does feel like a luxury when you have time to contemplate your navel.
Yes. Think of the sweaters we could make.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you asked me, has my perspective changed over my career from beginning till now? I would say I still do the musculoskeletal physical body work and the nutritional biochemical body work and then more energy body attention. Because if the energy body's off, it's hard to get the other stuff to matter, kind of.
Yeah, those patterns get sticky.
And it's a never, it's a blend of all of it in different phases. It's not like all or nothing in each process. But anyway, I sound crazy to most of the people who come to me for help, but we have a lot of fun.
Well, you're in good company.
We love it.
So, do you find yourself giving consistent suggestions to your client base?
There's a baseline of basic stuff.
That would be helpful to share with me on the podcast?
Yeah, sure. Yes. I would say rest is definitely something. Get enough sleep.
Yeah, how important do you think sleep is?
It's like primary.
It's vital, isn't it?
Yeah. Your body needs to reset.
I'm finding that too.
Yep.
It makes a big difference too. A good night's sleep. If you feel shitty because you're not sleeping,
yep.
You have a good night's sleep. It's like a game changer. The next day, woohoo, whole new world.
I don't hate the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot.
Yep.
Yeah, so 7 hours, 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So that's super important. Drinking clean water. Know what's in your water. Chlorine is in most municipal water. Chloramine, which is chlorine linked to ammonia, is in a lot of municipality water these days. And they're doing what they've deemed safe to be able to get harmful things out of the water. That's great. You shouldn't drink that without filtering that back out.
Okay.
So
filter your water.
Lots of different ways to do that. And I would say try to find a good filter and filter your tap water so you're not buying a lot of plastic and stuff. What else? Clean food. Know your farmer. If you're eating meat and things, you want to know that those sources are clean and you're not filling yourself full of antibiotics and GMO grain and pesticides and as much as you can, because that comes into your system and creates a lot of dis-ease. So clean food, clean water, good sleep, get outside.
Sunshine, you were saying?
Get outside.
Yep. Basic stuff, right?
It really is. It's a bit of a challenge because you don't get to walk into the supermarket and just fill your basket with everything in here is organic. You don't have to see which one's organic, and it didn't take half your paycheck.
No shit.
It'd be nice to walk through a grocery store and just know the food that was there was clean, and the water, whatever.
That's probably my biggest expense is eating clean after my mortgage.
And not everyone can do it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I know, it's sad. It shouldn't be that way.
Right. And none of us are perfect, which is why I like to bring this is not a plug for me, it's just what I love. I love having a tool that people can read their bodies to see, how are you doing out there? You are eating clean, you're doing all these things, or maybe you're someone who can't and you just want to keep an eye on, if I'm not able to do that, what do I put next to that? Maybe I'm taking some nutrients or periodic liver cleansing and things like that to keep that from building up in my body. Because I strongly believe that's why we're seeing so much cancer. The environmental toxins and the EMFs and the stress. And I don't think we live in a horrible world and everyone should get in their oxygen tent. Be active about changing farming practices and water treatment and all of those things. But then in an imperfect world, have some things you can do to put next to that it's an imperfect world. And then don't stress out about that. Just be doing things that you're passionate about to help contribute to a different direction. Make that sound easy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Piece of cake.
Yeah, piece of cake. So clean food, clean water, get some rest, be outside. And super biased me, get some body work. some chiropractic massage, acupuncture, something like that to pull some of the tension out of your physical body to allow room for stress to leave. You hit the door. What about you? Do you think like energy body work should be in there?
Well, yeah, I'm going to, of course, be a big proponent of getting in the energy genesis or something like that too,
Mm-hmm.
or going to see a body worker, whatever. I mean, the idea of self-care, I think, is a really important one. You're taking that time
Mm-hmm.
for yourself. So that means you're making yourself a priority.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good message to give yourself.
Yeah. And it's hard. I think everyone's different in this way, but I think an accountability buddy, accountability buddy. So it's not easy to stay on it with exercising and
Right.
eating clean and unplugging. So, maybe it's a girlfriend who's like, all right, girl, it's been 3 weeks. We're going, we're leaving everything at home, and you and I are going wherever we're going
No, that's a cool idea.
for a night, for a day, whatever. Like, you have a dream in mind that you really, if you keep it out front and you're activating it intermittently, it helps your passion be up and your energy be up. So,
Do you have an what'd you call it? Accountability?
accountability buddy.
Accountability
I
buddy.
do, and we've sort of fallen down. This is going to make me call her. My friend Liz, she's got some TED Talk ideas, I think, or it was a podcast thing. I'm sure it won't compete with yours.
There's room for everybody.
I think it was me that had the TED Talk. I can't remember. Oh, no, it was me. I wanted to get back to playing piano and bringing music back because I used to be a musician. Well, I still am, but I don't do that. So
That's good medicine too.
oh my God.
Being creative in some
Yes.
way, whether it's music or art or
Mm-hmm.
dance or whatever.
Yep. So it would be like, all right, what are you doing next? Oh, I'm going to make myself get this sheet of music. If I would just order the sheet of music. So I would get a text. Did you order it? Ah, I didn't. Thank you. 3 weeks later, I've got it. Have you played it? No, shoot. And every once in a while you fall off, which we've done, and we'll get back on. And
Yeah, I've been doing that more in my life. Actually, for the first time, I would say.
mm-hmm.
I have my buddy Claire, who's my podcast buddy for
Mm-hmm.
the other show I do. We do Pilates together every Friday, so that's cool to have a buddy to do that with. And then I have a friend Maria who we meet and talk about writing. We're talking about writing screenplays now.
Cool.
My task was to get Final Draft software before we met, and I did do it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, so now I got to start writing.
That's awesome.
It's a really cool software too.
Cool. I mean, yeah, having something that kind of gets your light to go on. You feel better when that's happening. If there's
Yeah.
nothing that
No,
gets you
it's-
excited.
If you don't have the time or the discipline to do it yourself, to have a friend kind of nudge you,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't sound like a horrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the important thing, and so here's the shrink in me, is that you don't beat yourself up if you don't do the thing that you told your buddy you would do.
Yes.
Because, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that I'll talk about with my patients is that where else in life is anything linear? It's always an ocean wave kind of thing, so up and down, and always
So true.
seems like, oh, I'm up, oh, I'm down, oh, I'm up, oh, I'm down. But if you see that there's a movement, you're not really just only up or only down.
That you won't always stay in that place.
Yeah, and that, to visualize the expectation is to, I wouldn't even call it on off because that has cultural good bad attached. So it would be like, I'm eating really well and I'm exercising and I feel amazing. And then 2 months later, it's like, you know what? I'm choosing to just do what I feel like. Apparently I need the rest and I want junk food and I really don't care.
So that's that 20 of the 80-20.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I really just don't care. And then you do that for a bit and you're like, oh my God, I feel, I'm going to get back on track. It's just a moving thing. It's not you're being good or you're being bad.
Such a good point. It's really a good point.
Yeah.
Because we're not always going to be 100% on top of shit.
I think people that are trying or achieving it are really nervous. That's a lot to carry. It creates a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to talk about here is reducing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
feel anxious just
it's
talking about it.
it's gonna be okay.
Thank you.
Gonna be okay.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comes down to love, doesn't it?
Ultimately.
I think it does.
Yep.
Frequency of love, being loving, being interested in other people, getting space to be loving.
Well, on that note,
Jeez.
this has been a lot of fun. Boy, did we go. We went so far into the deep end.
That was good.
Yeah. Huh.
For us.
Yeah. We'll see. Their listeners may have tuned out a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
It just could be just you and me talking right now. Nobody listening.
It's okay. We're putting it out to the universe. They'll get it somehow.
Sounds good.
Thank you for having me on. I super appreciate it.
Oh, man, it was great. Thanks for coming on. So, yeah, our conversation took some interesting turns. It's my fault. Totally my fault. Hopefully we didn't lose you in the process. If you would like to learn more about Dr. Suzy Harris and her work, please visit her website, cedarwoodnaturalhealthcenter.com. You'll also find a link to her website in this episode's show notes. So, this concludes the final episode of 2019 and marks the end of the first year of Lucid Cafe. Thank you for listening. It means a lot to me. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting Lucid Cafe by giving it a positive review or helping to spread the word by letting others know about the show. Or you can become a sponsor with a one-time or monthly donation by following the link in the show notes or on the podcast page of my website. Really looking forward to bringing you more inspiring and thought-provoking episodes in 2020. Until then.